Everyone, and welcome to Ad America TV. My name is Jasmine. I'm one of the e-guys at Ad America. Joining us on Ad America to provide a space for young enjoy all of joining us today. Our panelists will answer. We will be global pandemic. Break the ice with community-based underprivileged action underprivileged families to survive. And we will give live shout correctly. Ad America's having a good time. We'd like to invite our Jakarta, the Putra. Doing?
Okay, okay. To the YSEALI web membership during as Jasmine, and thank you for your feedback and survey earlier this May. YSEALI webinars coming weeks. Discussion. And for our deaf friends with Google Live Translate to have to start this event, the affairs. Brown.
Hi to everyone. My colleagues here and gives me a great with you. But it really is such a privilege to be here. And as I said, I absolutely love YSEALI. I will share with you that a resolution celebrating just how awesome YSEALI is passed the U.S. Senate today. So what could be a better testament for how important this program is for all of you? Before I go on, let me just first address something that's really important, and the fact that we're doing this virtually. This pandemic, it has hit all of us in so many different ways. I think we're all feeling it differently, but we're all feeling it. No one is feeling okay or business as usual. We weren't ready for this. We weren't ready to experience such a massive change. And there's so much change going on that it's really hard to keep focus on what's really still good and what we do have to be thankful for, because not everything is bad news. I think that this webinar is really a great reminder that there's a lot to look forward to. If we dwell in the moment now, we might get a little bit sad, a little depressed. But if we look forward, there's so much hope, there's so much kindness, there's so much humanity. And it's those sort of examples that keep us positive and looking forward. As COVID-19 continues to impact communities all around the world, people are really coming together and they're helping each other out more, frankly, more than ever before. If that's not the epitome of 2020, I don't know what it is. I do hope that this webinar is going to inspire you, it's going to make you be hopeful, and it's going to drive you to want to give back somehow in some way to your community and to the community across Southeast Asia, across ASEAN. I would be remiss if I didn't say a special thank you to Val, Pana, and Nikki. Thank you for being such amazing examples in your communities and to those of us who are tuning in today. You are leading the change. You are touching people's lives. And we know you've really taken it into your own hands, this responsibility to look after each other, to look after other members of your communities. So again, thank you for my dose of positivity and reminding me to be thankful for what I do have, as well as reminding me how important community is and how we need to look out for each other and remember that we're all facing challenges and that none of us are truly alone. So lastly, have a great discussion. I hope that you'll carry forward the connections you make here. It's different being online, but it's certainly a connection to be made. The world might never, we might have to always keep changing, but we will always need to uplift each other. We might not have to face this COVID challenge forever. I hope we don't, but there will always be needs to help each other out, to rely on our communities, and to do good for others. So with that, I wish all of you, please stay as healthy as possible, take care of yourselves, and then stay hopeful. All the best in the future. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ibu CDA Brown, for a very positive energy in the beginning of our YSEALI webinar series. So before we start our discussion and we will let you go to another meeting, we would like to take a group photos first between the CDA Brown and also all three of our speakers. So I would like to ask at America team to take the lead on the group photos.
Okay, so everyone ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, all good, Chris? I think we already took it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, at America. So thank you once again, Ibu CDA Brown, for your time to deliver the opening remarks for our first webinar series. Now we move on to our discussion. We have already, as Ibu CDA Brown mentioned, we have our inspiring great alumni from Mindanao in the Philippines, from Phnom Penh in Cambodia, and Jakarta in Indonesia. And they will share their great stories and inspiring stories, what they've been doing, especially during this hard time. So without further ado, I would like to invite and introduce our first speaker, Val Festil from the Philippines. He's the YSEALI Academic Fellow alumni in the year of 2017. So Val, I'll give the time to you to introduce yourself and then also to start your sharing.
All right. Hello, everybody. First off, I'm honored to be sharing this digital space with fellow youth leaders in the ASEAN region. Thank you so much, YSEALI and YSEALI Philippines through the U.S. mission to ASEAN. Again, let me share my screen first. Is that good? All right. Again, my name is Val Emil Vestil, and I am the Executive Director of the Association of Young Environmental Journalists. Just a quick background before we go there. We're a youth-led environmental nonprofit with a mission to enable communities to be ecologically literate and proactive towards a more livable planet. We essentially work as a media hub to hashtag let the earth be heard through our 3 C's, building capacity through our environmental writing workshops, creating content by producing relevant environmental stories, and publishing them on local newspapers, as well as our newly launched website. You can go to ayedge.org, and increasing conversation with our various online and offline campaigns. You know what? Everything was all set for this year for my organization until, you all know, COVID happened. All projects were canceled or indefinitely postponed. The question on everybody's mind was, what are we going to do now? I think that's what everybody is asking right now. And so we one day, a friend of mine messaged me asking if I was interested to be part of a fundraising campaign. And because we need to adapt and respond quickly to the crisis, because so many lives are at stake, I did not think twice about saying yes to Meryl Jalani, who is our lead convener and founder for Kapit Mindanao. We eventually co-developed Kapit Mindanao, which is a nationwide digital fundraising campaign which aims to assist youth-led organizations in their COVID response initiatives all over Mindanao. When I say all over Mindanao, we literally mean all administrative regions in Mindanao. We wanted to reach the most unreached communities because here in the south, we're going as far south as Tawi-Tawi and as far north in the south in Surigao del Norte. Our campaign has so far raised cash donations amounting to just over $7,000, which have assisted over 1,800 families through the 20 youth organizations who had their own relief efforts on the ground. Assistance came in the form of relief goods, hygiene packs for daily wage earners and low-income families, and even PPEs for medical frontliners. And looking at these numbers, it makes me reflect, how were we able to do that in a matter of less than 2 months, all from the comforts of our own home? Especially that most of us in this campaign actually did not know each other prior. In fact, Meryl and I have not worked together. And so the most important question is, how did we make it work? How do we build a volunteer community and cultivate leadership despite the pandemic? I have just 3 points. We were able to exponentially grow the idea into a massive following simply because there was a plan. It's that easy. We were from 3 friends in conversation to a core working group of 5 to the creation of 7 working committees and finally expanding to 100 partner organizations. It really started with people talking about the idea, developing that idea, implementing that idea, and then amplifying that idea. So if you see in this diagram, it's that straightforward. But what I want you really to take notice of in the flowchart are the arrows. In between these stages of the project, I think it is the most crucial, which is the planning and preparation. We prepared primers, we prepared partner kits, step-by-step guidelines on how to get involved even before we launched the campaign. You know, in trying to build communities, we have to make it clear with our volunteers that we are trying to reach out to what their scope of contribution is. The direction, number 1, needs to be clear. The problems need to be properly defined. The strategies need to be set for your volunteers and potential community to believe in your project or campaign. You know, belief is a really powerful thing. And if we give people all the good reasons to believe in our crazy ideas, we will be able to create a community of believers and at the same time, a community of leaders and doers. Second, it's the importance of project ownership. I think the greatest strategy, no, actually the most necessary step we need to take to make the campaign work is to give our volunteers and partner organizations ownership of the project. We wanted them to own the campaign and make them understand that the campaign is really theirs as much as it is ours. And ownership can be cultivated in something as simple as your messaging. Instead of saying you are part of the campaign, tell them this is your campaign, right? Ownership can also be cultivated by giving your volunteer community the agency and the power to employ strategies that they believe would work. Because of this, a lot of our partners have done their own strategies to raise funds for the campaign. They sold merchandise, organized workshops, and even designed their own face masks. The point here is that no one has the monopoly of an idea. You know, the idea only becomes really great if the people that you are engaging with believe that that idea is also theirs to own. And finally, push yourself to be innovative and creative. We are really left with no choice at all but to adapt, create, and innovate. As this is a fundraising campaign, we really need to, squeeze out all our creative juices just to make sure our strategies help us achieve the campaign goals, which is really to raise money. So apart from the usual solicitations with donors like, hey, give us money, we thought of other strategies to drum up more attention for the campaign, such as collaborating with creatives, organizing Facebook Live concerts with artists from around the world, and even in Thailand and Cambodia, and even organizing a webinar series where we get to hear from our guests, beneficiaries, and partners. So in summary, The key concepts that may help build a community during COVID are solid preparation, project ownership, and innovation. So I guess that's my 5 minutes. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Val, for a very interesting presentation and discussion. That's a really interesting topic to start off this discussion, because like a lot of question is, yeah, I have the idea, and how do we implement it, and how we keep on going on doing that? Because some people are just like saying idea is cheap, like people can come up with ideas, and then how to implement and how to keep on going, especially during hard times like this. And we learned so much from you, Paul. What were you doing in Mindanao and southern states of the Philippines? So next, we have another great presentation and YSEALI alumni that will share about her stories. We have Nikki Clara from Jakarta in Indonesia. She is the YSEALI Professional Fellow Alumni in the year 2018. And I'll give the time to Nikki, but Nikki, maybe before you start your presentation, you can introduce a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, and then you can start the discussion. Nikki, over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. Yes, my name is Nikki. My station is Nikki Clara. You can call me Nikki. So let me share my presentation first. Okay, so actually, I'm women disability. I'm using prosthetic leg, but what I'm going to present you, because I'm a socialpreneur, I contributed to create empower disability community and also to build inclusive environments in Indonesia. So Disable Enterprise Tenun and Berdaya Bareng is my tree of social enterprise that have a mission to empower persons with disability. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So today I'm going to present about what I'm going to do, what we have to do with Disable Enterprise. So Disable Enterprise is a social enterprise that have a mission to empower person with disability community at Indonesia. We concern from the learning center until to development incubator, and also we have our mobile application. So, and during this pandemic COVID-19, we know that since the first patient, I'm not mistaken, is on 2nd of March of 2020, and until now, the increasing of the patient at Indonesia is still not. It's still increasing. We haven't facing the flattened curve, but because of this, we are really concerned about the inclusive information and also the impact at disability community. So what we have done at disability community is we do a little bit research, we do a interview, and also we do like survey at WhatsApp group, and also to our volunteering in several areas. We must know first about their needs related to pandemic COVID-19. The summary after we do the research, there is 6 about their needs. The first is they really want to know about the prevention, to know more about the COVID-19. The second one, they really want to know how to report and checks to the hospital. And the third one is how to sterilize the home environment, equipment, including disability aids, and health facilities serving COVID-19, list organization, and also COVID-19 impact distribution. Why this related? Their needs is really concerned to disability community, because we know that Indonesia is really lack about the inclusive environment. We don't have any call center that really understand about the disability needs at Indonesia. So these problems is start with us, and we think we must do to disability community at Indonesia. So the impact COVID-19 of pandemic, we also know there is a lot of impact that affected to disability communities, such as economic, social, cultural activities, impaired disorders, and disruption and also physiological disorders. So this impact is really concerns. It's really become our concerns, especially to disability community. So what we're going to do is related to this. We must give them a give them a problem solving, and we must really concern about what we're going to do to them. And my social enterprise, my community start with this. We think about the 5 pillars of quality. The first one is people or citizen centers. That's the reason why we must start with with understanding about their needs. We must do our mini research. We must do our little bit survey. We asking them to WhatsApp group. We're asking them to online, because we must know about what they need first. We cannot just give assumption or perception that, oh, this community need this, but we must really concern about the people or citizen centered first. The second one is when we already gather the information from the community, we go to the pillar 2. It's priority focused and impact oriented. So that's the reason we must do the prevention. We must do awareness. We must give what they must do to prevent the COVID-19. They must use masks. They must wash their hands, because disability community, the diversification of their mental and also physical is quite diverse. So we must really focus about the priority, impact, and also the awareness about the COVID-19. And then we go to the third pillar is emergency mindset. And you must know there is no business as usual. We must really think about the information that we must give to them. Like, for example, is there any call center? Is there any number they can dial directly? Or is there any person that really understand about their needs if there is any symptoms, if they get COVID-19, such as like that. So, and then the fourth pillar is systemized and ICT based. We really must understand it about the impact of COVID-19. And we know that several people of our community is not ready to facing about the digital things, the online things. Like, for example, like have you ever thinks about how deaf people can do the webinar if there is no technology? They know, like, how come the blind people know about the online training if there is no community that told to them. So the ICT based and online training, we must really introduce to them. Like, for example, our volunteer is like talking one by one to them via WhatsApp call, and introducing how to upload, how to download Zoom, and how to access Zoom, and then how to access like WhatsApp groups, etc. And the fifth pillar is continuous human capital development. I think as the young leaders, we must thinking about this. Like, the effect of COVID-19 is really, really affected not only disability community, but all community. But we must know about how this community can get survived, not only on COVID-19, but after the COVID-19, when the adaptation is still there, but they're still lag behind. We must understanding them how to get new source income. Like, we must understanding them how to adapt really, really quick about these online things, how to digitalize those things. So based on this first until fifth pillar, we do several things. The first one is the awareness, which spreading about the information about the preventions about the COVID-19 to our disability community, to our social media, to our WhatsApp group, to our volunteer at several areas. The second one, we try to do the online education, but the specifically is how to get new source income after pandemics. So we know that disability community itself is, most of them is working in informal workers. So we must think how to help them to find new income after pandemic. So there is several marvelous story from online training. They just know how to build a mask clothes. They just know how to work, how to become how to sell their product online through Instagram and through several e-commerce. And the last one is we can collect donation for several donature, for several campaign. Like since March until now, our community, our social enterprise already give more than 2,500 food package and also 1,000 masks. And the last one is 2,000 DAF masks, because you know, in the new normal we must use masks, but for the deaf people it's really hard to read the lips when we use when all of us use masks. So we try to make a campaign. We call it in Bahasa is start with the smile if I change to in English. So we try to gain the awareness for the non-disability person to start to use a DAF mask. So there is a transparent plastics around your mouth. So whenever you met the deaf person in the streets, or you want to give any awareness or any prevention to deaf mask, the deaf people can still read your lips. Maybe that's the things that I already present to you about my social enterprise that already done to disability community in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing your inspiring initiative. As everyone knows, this global pandemic hits everyone so hard, including our disabled community. And thank you for everything that you're doing. We learn so much to have more inclusive discussion now with having the Google Live transcript and with captioner.com, so everyone can join this discussion, right? Okay, next we have our third speakers joining us from Phnom Penh in Cambodia. Sok Sofiak Panya, she is the alumni of YSEALI Academic Fellow 2016. And she will share about what she's been doing in Cambodia. But Panya, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit before you start your presentation. So Panya, please, the time is yours.
Thank you, Fatah. It's you guys have great presentation. I almost forgot it's my turn. By the way, my name is Panya. I'm from Cambodia and currently running her projects. So today we will discuss the 5 steps you can do to actually transform your project into a digital campaign. And let me give you a better example of her project. So her project is a Syria project focusing on training young female leaders to be skillfully and physically and mentally healthy. And our target audience are young women who are living underprivileged, who are striking for their education, who are living under the sponsorship of NGOs such as Hapser Foundations, Cambodia Children Funds, and Dream and Dare Cambodia. So my vision with her project is that I want to inspire young female students to be not just leaders, but healthy leaders. And I want those healthy leaders to inspire more people to be healthy leaders. So instead of hearing from what I talk, let's just hear from what our audience say from joining her projects. So I think our team can play videos.
Before I joined the project, I just only care about how I should improve my knowledge in order to get higher education so that I can help myself, my family, and my society. But everything just changed after I have joined the program because I care about my health more. I start doing exercise and I start to manage my time well, and I start to care about it. So I think that without health, I cannot do anything, although I get higher education.
Very good. Yeah, I think it's a really big step to step out and actually do your thing for yourself, right?
Yeah.
As you know, now COVID situation is going on. I just want to know, what do you want to see on digital content? Anything, just tell me.
ខ្ញុំក៏អត់ខុសពីបងពុំដែរដោយសារឥឡូវពេលវេលាហ្នឹងគឺភាគច្រើនយើងចំណាយពេលនៅផ្ទះអញ្ចឹងភាគច្រើនយើងអត់អាចធ្វើអីបានក្រៅពីធ្វើការងារតាមអនឡាញហើយភាគច្រើនយើងមើលអីតាម social media អញ្ចឹងប៉ុន្តែរាល់ពេលដែលខ្ញុំមើលភាគច្រើនខ្ញុំទទួលបានអារម្មណ៍ដែលថាទទួលបានអារម្មណ៍ដែល depress ច្រើនជាងមុនទៅទៀតដោយសារតែព័ត៌មានដែលចែកចាយលើនោះគឺហាក់បីដូចជាអត់មិនមែនជាព័ត៌មានអីដែលធ្វើឲ្យយើង មានភាពសប្បាយរីករាយជាកន្លែងមួយដែលថាពេលយើងបើកទៅយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមមានធម៌ពលឡើងវិញជាកន្លែងដែលយើងមានស្នាមញញឹមយល់ដឹងពីពិភពលោកថ្មីថ្មីអីចឹងនេះអញ្ចឹងចង់ឲ្យដូចបងពុំបាននិយាយចឹងគឺថាចង់ឲ្យ Facebook ហ្នឹងខ្លាចទៅជា space មួយដែលធ្វើឲ្យយើងទទួលបានធម៌ពល
Let me mute also. So thank you. So as you can see, her project is not making a big impact, but I believe we're making personal impact, and that's what I believe that we want to do. And let's talk about COVID-19. So before COVID-19, my team and I were ready to host another event outside on ground with our participant, and then bomb COVID-19. So we're like, me, myself, I'm only not worried about the COVID-19, but also about my project, like what I'm gonna do, like can I still do the projects or how can I do it? But then luckily I went to talk to my participants and we can figure out what we wanna do. So my point is, you don't have to stop, but you just need to figure out a way to do it differently, which is to do it digital. So I'll be telling you the 5 easy steps you can do to actually transform your project to a digital communication campaign. So first one, listen. So as you can see from my video, I go and ask my audience what they want to see in digital content. Same to you, every project have their own target audience. So go to your target audience, ask what they want to see, ask what they've gone through, ask what is the difficulty, what they want from us. The second thing is choose your platform. So is Facebook the most famous one among your target audience, or most of them use Instagram? Like in my case, my target audience claimed that Facebook is easier for them to share information and comments. So I will use Facebook as a platform to transfer those information. Third thing is transform the voice into digital content. So as you can see in the first step, we go and ask them what they want to hear. So in this step, we actually transform what they want to hear into digital content. Taking her project as an example, my audience want to hear like more positive content, more supportive content to help them go through the pandemic. So in my case, I would reach out to an NGO who working on that. In Cambodia, if I have TPO, so I would call and make online appointment with TPO and ask, what content can I do? What can I provide to my audience? In your case, if you're working on something, just reach out to your resource, any NGO, any partner that you can collaborate with and to work in order to help your audience. The fourth thing is my favorite part. It's test the product. So now you have all your content, all your product, you have your poster, you have your videos, you have your interview. So go to your target audience and test it. Ask them, will they watch it? Will they like it? Will they share it? And what can you do to actually make the content better? It's like making a cupcake, you make a cupcake and then you taste it and then you feel like, oh, it's a little bit salty, and then you make it again. You keep making it until it's the best one. And then after testing your product, the last step is to execute. It's time to let all your product go out there. But remember to keep the eyes on the content. Make sure that you check whether it's the right one, it's the wrong one. You can get feedback from your audience and you can plan better for the next campaign. So these are the five easy steps you can turn your project into a digital communication campaign. The first one is listen to your audience. Second one is choose a platform. Third one is to actually transform the content into the voice into digital content. The fourth one is to test the product. And the last one is to execute. I know the world is not the same anymore, though everything is changing. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but as youth leader, I believe that we won't stop. We need to go out there, explore what we can do, and adapt the situations. So just keep moving and do better. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Panya. That's really impressive and also inspiring. Like, everyone has a lot of questions. Everyone's plan is getting messed up because of the global pandemic. But with what you're saying, that we need to adapt and have more flexibility and willing to listen and try new things, that is a really great things to start off what you want to do and what you can do within the communities. So earlier this week, when we promote this event, we asked our YSEALI audience to send out their question, and we also still open to our audience online right now to drop their question in any channel where you're watching. but I will start with some of the questions from my own to each one of our speakers. The first question I would like to ask Panya. What can others do to help? Because in your presentation, you're focusing on what can you do to adapt and start things, and what can others do to help, and what initiative are out there you can recommend for others do to help.
Okay, thank you, Putra, for the questions. It's so fast, I cannot have it. Anyway, I think there's three things we can do to actually help. The first one is sharing information. So as you know, right now we're using a lot of social media. So make sure you share the right information to your audience. It's from the right source. It's contained credibility. Second thing is keep checking on your loved one. Ask them how they're doing. Like if you have friends or family who live abroad who cannot come home right now, keep checking on them. And the third one is if you're running anything right now, I think there's so many things we can do. As a while mentioned, we can actually do fundraising for your NGO or your campaign if you're working on right now. Second thing, you probably run a communication campaign as I'm working on right now. And there are probably things that Nikki mentioned as well. You can actually start it to do online, like online, how do I say, you can sell your product online, start using Instagram and learn how to sell things online. I think that's it.
Thank you, Panya. And I have another question to Nikki. As mentioned, that you work closely with the disabled community here in Indonesia, especially during the pandemic. And do you think that the communities needs more youth involvement in response to the pandemic, Nikki?
Thank you, Putra, for the questions.
Sorry, Nikki, you're on mute.
Yep. Thank you, Putra, for the questions. I think it's huge. Young people is really important, especially to handle, like, to coming to a disability community. Why? Because we know that after pandemic affect the world, the adaptation is become the digital and the online things is coming up. So disability community really needs young people to try to understanding them how to use it and how to adapt to the situation really quick, especially about the education, about the workplace, about the new source income. Is become a huge digitalization, the huge online things. So we need, as the young people, we must really concern about our community, especially how to build inclusive community. Like, if you're really concerned about the women's, you must include this women disability. If you're really concerned about the informal workers, you must include disability community informal workers. So you as a young leaders, we must try become the change of the agent of change to make inclusive environment, especially the one who affected after because of this COVID-19.
Thank you, Nikki, for your answer. And last question from me before we move on to the question from social media is for Fall. I think you mentioned earlier in your presentation about why you want to do something in your community in Mindanao, in South Philippines. But why is it important for you to help your community during the pandemic, especially because, like, there's a limitation of moving. You cannot go and coordinate with everyone from different city, different island, and how you manage to do so with all of the limitation because of the pandemic and all the limitations things. Okay, since I think Fall is having power breakout in the Philippines, I think the question also, I can also give the question to Nikki and also Panya, maybe a short answer about how you manage to do things with all of the limitation because of the pandemic situation. For example, because of, like, you cannot really go outside that much, and then like with the disabled community, you need a really, like, direct interaction with them, right? So maybe Nikki, you can answer that, and then we can go back to Fall to answer that question too.
Okay, so because of the limitation, I think there is two ways that I do to my community. Is the first one, we try to introduce about how to do the online things. We put them in the WhatsApp groups, we put them in the Facebook groups. So we try to connect with them as easier as they can do. And the second one, we using our volunteering community that live around that area. So we try to make an inclusive volunteer community. So if there is any urgency, like emergency things that we must do, we just try to contact our volunteer, and then they directly go to the person with disability that need help, especially about if they got a symptoms of COVID-19, or if we want to give another give a donation to them. I think that is.
Thank you, Nikki. And I think we already have fallback with us because there was like lighting and then power breakout fall.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, I'm asking Nikki and also Panya after this too. Why do you think this is important for you to do to do something to help your community? And how do you manage to do things with all of the limitation because of the pandemic? Because like you cannot move, there's a quarantine, community quarantine and everything. How you manage to do so?
Right. In terms of why, so two questions, right? In terms of the first question and why we need to serve the community, maybe the best answer is why not? I mean, we all do not enjoy the same resources, and we all do not enjoy the same privileges. In fact, those who have access to this video call right now, those who are watching us live, that's a sort of privilege, because privilege doesn't necessarily mean having a big car or a big house. Privilege is access to opportunities. And when you have these kinds of access to opportunities for learning, for knowledge building, I think that should give you a moral obligation of sorts to give this same access to the community. So because we are in our homes, we have internet, we have the power to actually talk to someone from as far as Kenya or as far as like this one, all over ASEAN, we should take advantage of that opportunity and make sure that it works best for the community that we want to serve. So why do we serve our community? Why not? We have all the resources in our hand. It's just about our willpower. Was that okay? Was my sound okay? Sorry, I'm not okay. And then on the second one, on the limitations, yes, it's very true. These limitations have really kind of put a bottleneck in our project implementation and even in the fundraising campaign that we have. So we have already raised the money and we have already disbursed this money to the youth organization we are working with. But because of community quarantine, we had to take a pause. We should always value the lives of the people we're working with and we're volunteering with. So while there is the urgency to really go out to the community, we need to also protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe because community quarantine is there. So we told them, don't go out yet, just hold the money. I'm sure we're sure that there's a great and best time to go back to the community and do your response initiatives. So how can we serve our community if we're sick, right? Or we're in the hospital? So health is definitely top priority right now.
And I think, thank you, Fall, for answering that. And maybe, Panya, do you have any answer about that? Like why you want to do something with your community and how you manage the challenge, especially you're using internet, how you reach out to people that cannot afford internet, as Fall mentioned earlier, that is, it's a privilege sometimes for people having internet connection too.
So there are two plans for my project. The first one is we post it on Facebook, and then the second one, we know that not many people allowed to access the internet anytime they want. So we actually create a group for our young female leaders, like a small group. So every time we have something new for them, we send it to them so they can access the information whenever they can. So I don't think I have much because all the speaker handle all the big part already.
Okay, thank you, Panya. I think that's also answering some of the question I saw from Facebook live stream, like how can people get things when internet access it's limited to them. But I think that's the good things about internet too, because like this discussion webinar like this, it's not only accessible during the event, but people can access it later on, right? When they have the opportunity and the connection. So for example, this webinar for everyone who wants to watch it again, see what they're sharing in their presentation, they can always go back to this video in YSEALI channels and get all the information again. So now we're moving on to the question from social media. I think some of you guys already dropped some great questions. I'll start with a question from Facebook. From Celestial Braun to Fall, how do you handle pressure from your fellow peers?
Yeah, pressure. Everybody is so pressured right now. Everybody is pressured to become productive. Everybody is pressured to become relevant. So in the context of today's time, facing COVID, while the pressure is real, we really need to emotionally and mentally teach ourselves not to be pressed by the pressure. Because again, as I said, the priority right now is actually not being relevant and productive and impactful. I know some of you might disagree, but I really believe that the priority right now is surviving. The priority right now is getting through this coronavirus pandemic together. And if we can put more value to the priority of keeping safe and surviving, I think productivity will then follow. I think the pressure that our question, the context of the pressure that, very strong thunderstorm here, I'm sorry. The context of the pressure that where the person asking is coming from, I think it's because of the people and the community asking you to be really productive and to be really relevant, attend all webinars, do things for the community. While I encourage that, it's also very important for us to prioritize our mental, emotional, and physical health right now. So I think you will be less pressured as a person, personally or professionally, if you understand that waking up every day to a brand new start is already success in and of itself. We're so pressured to become successful in our work, but these are abnormal times, guys. These are not normal times. And to just wake up every day renewed and more energized, that's already success in itself. So don't be pressured and go back to spending time for yourself.
I think really love that question, Paul, because like you need to make sure that yourself are happy and healthy first before doing things, and then stop taking pressure from outside. As long as you're doing that for yourself and making you happy, especially during this time, it's the most important things first, right? Okay, and then we have another question from Instagram from @Nick_Wijaya. I think the Panya can answer this. How do you start building your community? How would you invite speakers for your initiative?
So I think the first step is to start small. So every idea you have, it doesn't have to be big. Start small and start connecting. So if you have an idea, go to your friends or your closest people, present it to them, let them know that you need help. So for example, my project, her project, I didn't really have idea of doing this as a series project. I would just go into my friend, tell them that, you know what, it's so unfair because we all are trained to be leaders, but no one are trained to be healthy. It's so unfair. And he was like, hey, why don't you do something about it? So, and then we started planning ideas and execute things. So just start small, even if it's just an event, like a 1 hour event or panel discussion. Start small, bring it on. And then after you've done it, go out there to people and ask for advice. Hey, I did this seminar like for 1 hour about health and women. Like, what do you think? Is there anyone I can go to and you can connect me with that person? So I think that's the question for community building. You can start small and start connecting. The second one is, how do you invite speakers for your initiative? I think the most important point is to actually understand who are your target audience, what they do, what are their characteristics, and what do they want from us. So we need to make sure we choose the right speaker for them. For example, if you choose just one speaker, you need to make sure that the speaker and the audience have similar backgrounds so they can be related when they talk. You cannot ask the speaker, from different background to present them and tell them what he's gone through when the audience, are not relating to that. I think that's the second. That's first main point. The second main point, if you're running a panel discussions, make sure that the panelists are from different backgrounds, so audience can get different answer and different perspective. I think when I host my first health panel discussions, there are 4 speakers, but one of them that I invited doesn't care about health, because I want to showcase different perspective from different women, so our audience can have different ideas. So and also, if you ask how to reach out to them, snowball. Whenever I do something, I go to them to ask if they want to be my speaker, my panelist. I would just present my idea and ask, who do you recommend if I'm doing something like this? I want someone from this background and with this perspective. So they would just recommend you a few people, and you keep going and finding the right one. Thank you.
Thank you, Panya, for that really detail, but the things that we all can do and to start things, right? And then I have a question to Nikki. There's a question from social media from Abi Bahagari. He is an educator and run a student organization. And how am I able to get used to the new normal since we implement no face-to-face contact with students? Especially, Nick, you can also share how every disabled community have different approach.
Okay, thank you for the questions, Abi Bahagari. So it's quite, I can say it's quite challenging. If I see my cousins here is getting trouble with her moms every day, every morning, because of the educations, like especially, I think it's not only at Indonesia but also it's all around the world, when the parents, it's when they start to teach to their kids every day, so the mentally feelings angry, exhausted, things of like that. So related about the questions is, as an educator, how to implement the situations, especially it's on pandemic COVID-19. I think there is several things that you can do. The first one, if most of the students can access to the internet, you can still use several platforms, several tasks. So you can use, like, for example, like Google Forms. You can use like Google Classrooms for so you don't have to meet by online through Zooms, through Google Hangouts, sort of like that. You just give the task to your students. But the point is, I think there must be an understandings between the educator and also the parents, because we know that most of the students in Indonesia, especially, they try to rely on the parents, just rely on the teachers. When after the pandemic COVID-19, they think about how to teach their children by themselves. So I think there must be understanding between the education's stakeholders and also the parents, how to continue how to teach their daughter or sons, their children's at home. If there is a limitations to the internet access for your students, I think it's quite start to build like we do, like when we are going, what we have done at our community. We try to make a small groups. Small groups consist of 3 until 5% that's really close to the area, and then they start to make a small discussions, a small WhatsApp group to small Facebook groups, and especially if they become a neighbor, so they try to know about what they want to do, learn one by one. So in our side, we start to make a small groups and give a task in a week. So if already passed the week, we start to make a discussions into the small groups. After, if they have any questions, they can put it in the Facebook groups, and then we can gather and then put it into the small groups again. I think it might be complicated. I know, because the challenge is still in there, but we try to we try to cope this and to implement this into new adaptation or new normal. I think that's the things that I can answer.
Thank you, Nikki, for answering that question. Do we have Paul? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me as well?
Yes. Okay. Since I'm just gonna make sure, because the weather out there, we have a specific question from Aldrin Hila. He's Filipinos, I guess, because he has a specific question about YSEALI Philippines. So his question is about: is it necessary for an organization to be a multi-potentialite or having lots of skills and interests in order to champion organization goals and objectives? And what? And then also from Hofit Common, I think from the Philippines too. What help can be possibly extended to YSEALI Philippines as an educator?
First, for Jovit Common, you can go to the YSEALI Philippines Facebook page and chat. You can join YSEALI first off, because when you become a member, yseali.state.gov, you will be then funneled over to YSEALI Philippines. And then you can also go to our Facebook page, YSEALI Philippines, and chat that you are interested. Actually, I'll take note of your name and then I'll send it to the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. So for the question on being a multi-potentialite, that's the first time I hear that word, but I guess it means having multiple competencies, right? Very relevant, because I'm okay? Okay. I just read 2 days ago about an article how skills are, mastering a skill is important, yes. But having multiple skills, especially here in the 21st century, when everything is online, when people are so sanguine, so everywhere, no, I think it's equally important to be a multi-potentialite or to have multiple skills. Especially today, employers would want to employ someone who is not only good in communications, but also good in communications and advertising and marketing and graphic design at the same time. Because on an HR level, they would rather employ one person with multiple competencies so that they don't need to pay. This is really practical, okay? So that they no longer need to pay for another person. And it's same in organizations. Me personally, as the executive director of my organization, when I get someone to be part of my project, I don't get one person because they're really good in skill A. I would rather choose person B who has moderate skills in skill A and moderate levels of competency in skill A and skill B, because they can perform two jobs at the same time. And to me personally, I think that that is very valuable in the 21st century. So I encourage you to learn new skills, because, man, we really need to pick up the pace in terms of our skills and competencies. And now is the best time to develop those skills, because you're at home, you have internet, you have all the time in the world. So yes, a multi-potentialite is very important as well.
Thank you, Fal. I think before we wrap up, we still have a lot of questions coming from social media. Don't worry if your question is not answered during our discussion online today. Our speaker can also reach out and reply your questions online in the social media platform. But one last question, I think it's for all three of you. This is from Oktorina Wahyu in Indonesia. Her question is about, most of you say that projects these days are better online based and or putting inclusivity. Meanwhile, the elders and some other unprivileged people, such as who lives under poverty, might not be able to reach the information online. What will be the best solution for that? Do you think offline-based project will still be as efficient, especially during this pandemic situation? Maybe Fall, you can answer that first.
Maybe Nikki and Panya would like to proceed. Yeah, since I got the last question. Yeah, Nikki, Panya.
Okay. Maybe Panya, can you give your answer about that? Maybe like other targets like
Sorry for
elders and underprivileged. You mentioned about that too.
Okay, thank you, Wal, for pointing it to me or Nikki. Anyway, so besides running her project, I'm also working as a marketing and branding lead at World Vision. So we work in our core culture. So our target audience are people who produce fish, or they might be in the countryside, and most of them do not have social media, or most of them do not have smartphone. So one of the things we do during this COVID-19, because we cannot go to the field and work with them directly, is we produce poster, we print it out. For example, normally the training, it's happened once per month. It's a different training, but this time we print the training out like in paper, like in easy infographic they can understand. And then we print out, we ask someone to deliver to their house so they can read through it, and then we schedule a call. For example, if the training is about producing the right type of fish, just for example, and then we deliver the poster, and then we're telling them we will call them in 3 days. And 3 days we'll call and discuss and explain everything to them. And normally we don't call one family because it'd be so hard. So we make a group call. Like for example, it's not going. I know it's so distant, but it's not going to be like a big group. It's just 2 people or 3 people, so they can come together, sit distantly, and then we'll call, and then we make a presentation about the poster. We send it to them. So my solution that I've done is to actually make it into BTL products. Whatever content you have, if it's not on digital, print it out and deliver it to the right to their doors. Thank you. Maybe Nikki and then Wal can you answer the question now.
Yeah. My shortest answer is that no.
Okay, thank you, Panya.
Is Butcher okay? Oh,
okay. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. As I was saying, the question was, projects are better online based. No, I wouldn't say so. Because online based projects are only so much directed to this type of market who has access to online. So in terms of our project implementations and in terms of our initiatives, we need to be blended. We can't have just online, because as you said, we won't be able to reach those who don't have access to online. So as Panya had mentioned, you need to think of strategies such as printing posters, right? Printing posters or developing offline campaigns. At IEDGE, we don't just do online campaigns. We also translate that to offline campaigns because we know for a fact that not everybody has internet and not everybody will see your poster posted online. While the online community will give you reach, the offline community will give you, for me, on-ground impact. And in a successful project implementation, you need both reach and impact. So I think a blended use of these strategies is important. You cannot just focus on online alone. You also just cannot focus on offline alone. You have to have the best of both worlds.
Okay. I really want to add some things for the answer after Vanya and Val. It's really good, but like what I'm going what my community do is we try to divide first, like Val said, we try to blend it and know our target first, which disability can access the internet and which disability cannot access, especially the elders and also the one who live in the countryside on another regions beside the capital city one. So from that, we call it our small group is case workers. So we try to choose and try to conduct several case workers, and for a month we try to pointing the team about what we are going to inform to the elders and the community and also disability community. I think it's really important for you, like the target and what kind of information that you want aware to them what kind of information that you want to tell to them. So that really concerns about how to deliver to them. Is that using the posture? Is that using like the case workers, like meeting maybe 2 until 3% with like using the healthy protocols, using the mask, like sort of like that. And then there is anything like you can call them one by one, like for example, like the case workers coming to their homes, and then, or for example, like several of our case workers also give their phones, such as like that. And the quite big things that I can suggest is you can try to combine between the online campaign, also the offline campaign. For example, if you want to use fundraisings, you can use the online campaign first, and then you can use the donation, the funds, and then you can use the donation and fund to use by the offline event, because we know the offline events needs more fund, needs more budget to do that, because you must print things, you must going to their homes, maybe you can give them a food packages, you must give them the cloth mask, sort of like that. So I think you must think about the continuity and how to use the online and offline together. So I think that's the things that I want to add.
Okay, thank you so much, Nikki, Fall, and Panya, for sharing and everything. I think that's all for our discussion today. And please, for everyone, tuning in with YSEALI social media for our upcoming webinars. We still have the theme of community building and volunteerism. We have sustainable development and also mental health and well-being. So stay tuned. And again, what we learned from the discussion here is we never too young to lead, and we never too late to start something. So I'm Putra. Thank you so much, Nikki, Fall, and Panya. And I'm giving back to Jasmine in America.
Okay, thank you so much, Kaputra, and everyone else for sharing today. So earlier in the event, we asked you guys, true or false, community-based action and teamwork will be crucial for underprivileged families to survive the pandemic. And the correct answer is true. According to the data from the Manpower Ministry, a total of 300,014 and 833 workers from the informal sector in Indonesia have lost their jobs. Hence, it is better to support each other as a community rather than as individuals. So shout out to @AmandaLatif from Twitter for answering correctly. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. Don't forget to follow us next time, so maybe you can get a shout out from us too. And you guys might be wondering, how can I develop an awesome idea at an awesome place like this? It's really easy. Just go to our website at www.adamerica.or.id, select create a program, and go to collaborate with us. All of the proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. This wraps today's event. I'm so sorry we have to say goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter and also follow us on our social media, on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at AT America. I'm Jasmine signing out. Have a nice day and see you at the next At America TV event. Bye-bye, everybody.